In a Texas town lived young Billie Jean Davy, a girl of strong character and a keen sense of justice. She was a big sister to her younger brother Binks, a boy with a rich imagination and a dream of distant Vermont, a land of green hills and cool air that he had read about in books. One day Billie Jean and Binks decide to go to the lake for some refreshment. Binks, the proud owner of a used scooter, drove his sister around the winding streets, anticipating a swim in the cool water. Before reaching the lake, they stopped at a small convenience store to buy a milkshake. It was there that the first unpleasant encounter took place, which was the beginning of a whole chain of events. In the store, they were spotted by Hubie Pyatt, the local bully, and his company. Hubie was a spoiled boy from a wealthy family who liked to show his superiority over others. He started making fun of Billie Jean and Binks, trying to humiliate them. But Binks, despite his young age, was not going to tolerate the insults. In a fit of daring, he spat his milkshake right in Hubie's face. This daring act enraged Hubie and his buddies, but Billie Jean quickly put her brother on the scooter and drove off, leaving the bully bewildered. Upon reaching the lake, they were finally able to relax a little. Billie Jean told her brother about Vermont, describing the picturesque scenery and cool climate, trying to further ignite his dream. She promised that one day they would definitely go there together. But their idyll was short-lived. When they came out of the water, they found that Binks' scooter was not there. Hubie and his gang seized the moment and stole it. For Binks, it wasn't just the loss of transportation, it was the loss of a dream, the loss of a piece of hope for the future. Billie Jean was furious. She couldn't let someone take away what her brother held dear with impunity. She was determined to get the scooter back by all means. Together with Binks and their friend Opie, a shy but loyal guy, they went in search of Hubie. They found him at the local bowling club, where he was bragging about his prank to his friends. Billie Jean demanded the scooter back, but Hubie only laughed in her face. He declared that the scooter was his now and that there was nothing they could do to take it back. Billie Jean then proposed a deal. She promised that she would pay him for the scooter if he returned it to Binks now. Hubie agreed, but asked for the exorbitant sum of $608. Money Billie Jean and her friends didn't have. Billie Jean was desperate. She didn't know where to get that amount of money, but she did not give up. She decided to ask for help from Hubie's father, Mr. Pyatt, the owner of a chain of sporting goods stores. She hoped he would be more fair than his son. She went to one store and told him what had happened. Mr. Pyatt listened to her but refused to pay. He stated that it was just child's play and that it was Billie Jean's own fault for not keeping an eye on her scooter. He even offered to let her work at his store to earn money for a new scooter, but Billie Jean refused. She felt it would be a humiliation for her and Binks. In a rage, Billie Jean grabbed a paintball gun from the store window and shot Mr. Pyatt's car. She then fled with Binks and Opie. This act was fatal. She went from victim to perpetrator. After this incident, Billie Jean, Binks, and Opie were put on the wanted list. They were forced to hide from the police and from an angry Mr. Pyatt, who wanted revenge. They fled the city, hoping to find refuge and a way to prove their innocence. On the road, they were joined by Chip, a young girl who had run away from home. Chip, who dreamed of fame and recognition, was fascinated by Billie Jean's story and decided to help her. She suggested they change their appearance and hide in the crowd, and came up with a plan to bring public attention to their cause. Chip suggested that Billie Jean become a legendary symbol of the fight for justice. She convinced her to cut her hair short, dress like a man, and take the name Billie Joe. Together, they began distributing videos in which Billie Joe told her story and demanded justice. These videos quickly went viral. People from all over the country were moved by Billie Joe and her brother's story. They saw her as a symbol of the fight against injustice and oppression. Billie Joe became a hero to many teenagers who felt cheated and abandoned by society. Meanwhile, Mr. Pyatt wasn't about to give up. He hired a private detective to find Billie Joe and recover the stolen paintball gun. The detective quickly got on Billie Joe's trail and reported it to Mr. Pyatt. Soon Billie Joe and her friends found themselves surrounded by the police and Pyatt's men. They were forced to take refuge in an abandoned amusement park. There they met a local priest, Father Reynolds, who offered to help them. Father Reynolds arranged a meeting between Billie Joe and Mr. Pyatt. He hoped they could come to an agreement and avoid bloodshed. But the meeting ended in nothing. Mr. Pyatt was full of anger and wanted revenge. He refused to listen to Billy Joe and demanded the paintball gun back immediately. The situation escalated to the breaking point. Billy Joe and her friends were trapped. The police and Pyatt's men surrounded the amusement park and prepared to storm it. It looked like it was all over. But Billy Joe wasn't about to give up. She decided to use her popularity to draw public attention to her problem. She organized a press conference where she told her story and demanded justice. Hundreds of journalists and Billy Joe's supporters came to the press conference. She told how Hubie stole Bink's scooter, how Mr. Pyatt refused to pay for the damages, and how she was forced to flee from the police. She stated that she would not leave until she got justice. During the press conference, an unexpected event occurred. Hubby Pyatt, tormented by guilt, admitted that he stole Bink's scooter. He stated that he should be held responsible for his actions, not Billy Joe. This confession was a turning point in the story. The police arrested Hubie, and Billy Joe and her friends were cleared of all charges. Mr. Pyatt was forced to pay Bink's compensation for the stolen scooter. Billie Jean proved that even one person can change the world if they have the courage to fight for justice. She became a legend, a symbol of hope for all those who felt cheated and abandoned by society. And of course, she kept her promise and took Binks to Vermont to see the land of his dreams with his own eyes.